Welcome back. We're here to check in with the divine masculine to see what directly is coming up for them. For those of you that don't know, I'm Yildiz from Yildiz Readings 5D, a psychic medium, clairvoyant, and intuitive astrologer. And yes, if you do need a booking, you can directly go to the links below, as well as visit our membership site. That is a community. It's Sage Inner Circle Network. Straight into the read. Now, this read is looking interesting, and really looking at how their energy has been progressing. Psychically, what I am sensing, especially from their crowning energy, is that they're having this revelation about a circumstance. And, from a chakra point of view, I don't feel this is a negative thing. I feel, especially with it being in the upright, they're confronting a situation, they're addressing, and we're looking at this golden path, and we notice all these lotus flowers. Sometimes when we hear the term acceptance, it's this defeat kind of frequency, but it quickly pivots and moves into, let me be, how can I re-articulate this? When we can see an obstacle in our path, when we're naive, we feel we can plow through. When we're intuitive and we realize it's not personal, it is, we can see circumstances that we didn't see before. And I do feel that divine masculine is noticing something. Now, it's interesting. I dove into the frequency of wolf and dog totem and, man's best friend. They're coming up as this archetype. And, the yellow chakra is to do with confidence, but it's quiet confidence. It's under the surface. It's other people on the external may presume this individual, because they're quiet, that they're timid. But this is a totem not to be stifled with, nor to be underestimated. And I feel this individual, where it does come to their alliances, their finances, their friendship groups, because we do look at dog as a best friend. They're really reviewing this, but they're gaining a bit more confidence inside themselves. And there's a quiet churning over these subject matters. And really, not just looking about where they've come from, because sometimes the wound that's triggered does come from the past. And we can see that sun in the background there, right out on the distance. And, these little pebble stones, lotus flowers they've moved through. And there's doorway of great healing where it comes to their confidence. Now, there could also be subjects to do with family and a revisiting of these circumstances, especially in the context of our retrogrades. But I do see this to be a positive thing, especially with confidence, who they used to be versus who they are becoming and who they're stepping into. But they're quietly doing this on the internal. A little bit like ready to pounce, but, biding their time. Now, in the past position, we're going to move to that. We have, again, healing. Now, not only are they looking at the dream, what they're wanting to achieve, but now they're coming to okay, I might know where I want to go, what I want. It might have been very foggy and up there in the clouds, but the application of that is coming down into the ethers. They're realizing, both through to the heart of this read with their limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging ways, and maybe again wounds. What in a retrograde, what do we find? We find, okay, this was my dream. Oh, heck, why has this not been coming to pass? What, is this me? Is this another person? How am I linking into this? Had to mute the microphone. I had a coughing session. Okay. And this can be something to do with the communication cycle as well, especially from a Mercury point of view. It does feel like they're keeping this quiet. They're holding it beneath the surface. They're trying to grasp what they're sensing and, keeping things behind closed doors. So they're expanding their view, but they're honing in a particular area. But I feel what's going to come up is, they feel like they're missing something. directly looking at it. Am I seeing it? Am I sensing it? Is this a wound or is this the other person? So it's like they're walking through the forest, not really knowing what the next obstacle is, sensing it maybe from an intuitive level, but not necessarily seeing it. And they don't know where this is all going. They just feel like they've got a hunch. But they are having the confidence to keep plodding through. They're having the confidence to address these things. They just don't quite know when the time to pounce is. So they're trying to do this very realistically, assessing data, assessing facts, looking at how to proceed forward. Now, sometimes this could be a very direct 3D circumstance they're dealing with. There could be some health challenges they're moving through. They could be looking at confidence and how it's psychologically affecting them. Although there can be something that they're directly grasping through the crowning energy and the past position. Because like I said, how they are transitioning is realizing, okay, I know who I am. I have come an awful long way. Now, I might have been a bit foggy about the past. I did have my best of intentions there, I really did. I'm maybe feeling that I have limitations upon me. I don't know where this is going. I'm trying to look at this realistically. But as they're doing that, it could be they're coming to, and what's the crowning energy? Acceptance level. And what is this to do with? This could be to do with friends, associates, people around them, how they can protect themselves. And really, when we're around people that, it's not that we all have to be around people that directly agree with us, or that we all have to be the bee's knees, the leader, the guru. It's feeling a sense of safety that where we're planting a seed through the tough times. This is even in relationships. What we're all wanting is a mutual reception, right? And it's hard to do that in transition. So it's extremely important to have that trust factor, but without the expectations that the others involved in those circumstances can't change as well. So, it's interesting that this is coming through for the divine masculine. And they're looking at it and they're going, okay, does this mean that these individual circumstances, people, places, or things are bad? No, but it's accepting the limitations within these situations. So is this impacting their health? Is this affecting them? Do they need to be part of the crowd, or, are they the lone wolf? How do they merge in that circumstance? And sometimes, and, it'll be interesting to see how these play out, especially as our nodes move in our ascension process. Because Aquarius is groups. But the South Node is going to be in Leo. And we look at this individual coming through, and their full intention is, I'm trying to work, or I'm trying to bridge the gap. This could be their families, in home and family dynamics. They're trying to bridge the gap, but, you kind of look at this as the black sheep of the family, right? And I think all of us directly can relate to that. And so, looking at it, limiting beliefs, it's like, okay, is it me? Is it them? Do I feel like the outsider here? This is impacting my health. This is impacting me with my connections. And it's like the confidence to do with this. The foundation level is an issue here. We're going to go into clarifying because I want to dig deeper to see how this is directly impacting them. If this is a karmic relationship, again, the following thing still applies. Work, friends, family, that whatever this obstacle is, apply it to your own direct individual situation, or you can book a private reading. This week, it does appear to be that they're aware of the circumstances and they're assessing what they're going to do next. We're going to go into clarifying. Okay, they're accepting something, but in the interim, it could be that they've been noticing this for a while. It's been transitioning through. Gosh. And being that we are coming to the end of the month, as we do look into next month's energy, one of the things I was really feeling was like needing some of this pressure to come off, needing some reciprocity. Okay, so there's a maturing of the energy here. I do feel this individual does have a lot on their shoulders. And some of these areas potentially that have been cropping up are to liberate this individual, I feel. Okay. Interesting. They do have, one thing they're not meriting themselves on is the things that we don't learn at school. It's unique because that focus of the past that I see coming through, they're kind of being self-critical. Like, how didn't I see that? The funny thing is, we're not meant to know everything. We're not meant to see everything. It's supposed to expose itself in divine timing. And I think this person isn't quite realizing some of the assets they directly have inside of themselves. There is a particular area, and I'm hearing the term loyalty. There is a lot of loyalty that they do hold. So in some ways, they're battening down the hatches and they're kind of sitting there within their own moral compass. They're like, I have done everything I can to actually show, to be, to do. So it's actually aiding them again in gaining their confidence that, hey, hang on, it's not that I'm a bad guy. Sometimes it's a circumstance, it's a situation that they're directly dealing with. But it's giving them, like I said, it's this new alignment to what am I going to invest in? Will this block keep me stuck? I'm not thinking so. I think there's going to be a breakthrough through this moment and this kind of entry into the following month, I believe, that they're having these revelations. Okay, what are they not seeing that's coming to the forefront here, please? Okay. Okay. I feel that there can be some exposing. Again, I do see the divine masculine this week as an investigator. And because their intuition is quite heightened, and I may even pull a clarifier on the crowning energy, because I feel there's something quite psychic going on with these individuals. They're going to just, something's going to come out, something's coming up to the surface. They may even discuss this to get to the bottom of it so a situation can be cleared up. For, e.g., a plan of action. But something's coming out into the open. Interesting. Ooh. Okay, let's jump down. We have them directly, and look, just as I was coughing, I'm looking back up to the crowning energy again. It's all interlinking. This person at a foundation level is seeing how things directly impact their vibration. Thus, the reason I kept picking up on psychic energy. Okay, this person, be it they know it or not, and I'm going to pull a chakra card and a crystal card. I get that these people are on fire this week. Like they're picking up on things, they're intuitively observing things, they're biding their time for the correct time to actually, have a conversation, address the elephant in the room. But it's all there. They're gathering data, they're gathering facts, they're looking at how things are affecting their internal and external. And I feel like they're gauging it. Is this me or is this you? Yep, psychic energy. Smack on. Okay. So, very spiritual, very intuitive. Their guides are actually helping them. They're actually operating through that frequency. They're getting downloads. They're looking at things. Do we term it downloads? Yes, we have the terminology. Another, especially if they've got a heavy 12th house, which technically collective masculine is going to be very in this need to very much protect their nervous system, their energy. And again, that's not medical advice, it's the aspects of how it's possibly directly impacting their vibration. So yes, they're going to have these intuitive hunches. Yes, they're going to be looking at the vibration of this. And at this foundation, let's go back to the foundation, what I'm seeing happening, assessing the health and looking up to the psychic energy and going, I'm not trapped. I do have choices. I do have options. I don't wish harm to others. I'm looking at that now as healthy. Now, belonging. Okay, changes around home, changes around family, changes around independence. Assessing, where their values are, where they're putting their values into. Some may need a bit of a retreat. Some could have a financial situation that they're reviewing around this and what they're going to do from there. This is big picture stuff. I mean, this is huge pivots. There can be a surprise. And again, I do feel luck, an offer, luck, transition, changes. Okay, they're going to have the confidence, but they're going to have to trust their intuition. These outcome cards, I want to go deeper on this, especially for the guidance for those of you that are masculine that are looking at this. Don't second guess yourself, but definitely assess all the fine print. Now, what day do we have? Mercury going direct. 23rd of July, right? It'll be shadow for 2 weeks. I would say with the contracts. And I mean, look, the 24th, we do have Mercury sextiling Venus, which really does match this road. You've got this, but there's something here. It's like, look at the devil in the detail, okay? Look at the devil in the detail. And I do feel this pressure coming off, but I feel there's a review. The review of where the restrictions are, the review of whether you can work and operate within those. And why do I say that? Is because Saturn will go retrograde on July 26th. So this is where, for them, reflecting back, how do I do this? What do I do? Where do I realign? This is a huge realignment. And I do particularly feel that between June and July, they're really pivoting forward. So again, even though this point, we're moving into that retrograde, we see the yellow chakra, right? We see the yellow chakra, both in the outcome. We're going into it, we're reflecting back. There could be some question marks. I definitely get that there's going to be a transition here. I definitely get, for some, it could be they're doing renovations, or they're moving, or they're transitioning. But again, to be cautious, to be patient, cross wires with this as we're kind of transitioning through this, as we move into the next month. And this is the problem. We have, this transition between now moving into July, where they're really going to be unpacking these two circumstances. And funny enough, even before Mercury goes direct, which is July the 23rd, we have a new moon in Cancer on the 14th. So there is a new chapter here. There is a new emotional energy. And we go back to it. This is the yellow chakra. Home, family, tribe, who I am, where I fit in. I would not be surprised if they are bumping into individuals that feel like tribe and family, connecting, being selective of who they want to share their most personal thoughts with. And it's odd because you tend to get loose lips sink ships. I don't see this individual doing that. I see this individual being very quiet, wondering how they've changed. And I think it's almost showing them how much they've changed. You know, it's almost like the person you used to know. So if people are underestimating these individuals, they really shouldn't. This person is really at a very different standpoint than what they used to be. Their direction is changing, their ideal, their perspective. Now, let's look at how this links to you. Now, again, if you do want me to tune into this for you with your joint energy, you can directly book a reading, but we're going to skim over and we're going to have a look at how this factors into your situation. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if something major comes up in your life, Divine Feminine. Is because I see that the yin yang energy is really going through a transition. Okay, you're going to have to interpret the energy even within the dynamic of what's not being said. And I feel you're going to sense it. Again, I do feel you're both on point psychically. Where is it? Right there. The chemistry and the passion is still here. Even though for you, make sure to listen to your video. Gearing up for Juno retrograde. This is going to be all on like Donkey Kong. You may need to keep your cool. Okay, they know that something has to give, something has to change. It does appear to be that the things that they're needing to change and bring to an end, and you know, the death card and tarot, in order for that to be so, it does mean that both the footing and the foundation and the growth of it can actually succeed. They're wondering why they haven't done this earlier. They do feel slightly fatigued in a sense that the hurdles have been coming at them since probably 2020. So I can see the aura field being very fatigued. But again, they're really being selective about what they do and don't fight for. They do not want to fight with you. And they're saying that a lot maybe that you have to say is warranted, but you're both integrating. And that's how the energy is coming up, especially as they're tuning into you. Okay, something that you've said to them in the past, they're actually taking on board now. This is in the context of where you saw a block for them. And again, even though you might not be hearing this, they're taking steps. They're directly taking steps. They're like, look, okay, I'm looking at this. It might be slow, but it's a step in the right direction. It's like, you know, they were slow to clock onto it, but they're seeing it now and they sense it and they're very in tune with it. They're trying to pivot themselves, but also realizing that if they do not look after their wellness, the challenge ahead can be immense. So again, they're being realistic with these downloads, these revelations, these understandings, these tests of things, and they're taking a note out of your book and they're going, okay. They're very much tuning into you, knowing that that something's got to give frequency. But it also feels like a soldier out, you know, doing their thing, having to address these things. So they've got to keep their wits about them. Okay, what is this? I want to look at this outcome card again. Overall, let's once more look at this outcome card because something smells fishy. Something's off. There's something funky here. This could be a warning for the Divine Masculine. I'm sure it'll come through next month in the read. So stay tuned for that. Okay, let's dive in to this. First question, is this a revelation that something isn't what they thought it was? It's dropped on the floor, so that, yeah. Someone wasn't telling the whole truth. This information is going to come through to them in July. We have the Christmas in July card. There could be a bit of a delay on things, and it's kind of chasing them off. So it's like the outcome doesn't come to a crescendo, if that's even a word. It doesn't come to a close this week. It does move into next week, okay? Into the following week, into the next month. Yeah, delays, waiting on things, but a confirmation that in fact, ooh, an unexpected communication with the divine feminine. Okay, something's moving. It's going to pivot and change. It does appear to be that whatever this outcome is, it's supposed to go in their favor, and it's also supposed to aid towards reconciliation. Keep me posted. If you do need a booking, you can go to the link directly below. We do check in with the energy weekly. All our website links, as mentioned, are shown, as well as the landing page for our community membership that hosts chat rooms, community discussions connected to the twin flame path, astrology, and more. And yes, you can find the sign up page directly below, which is hosted on the website. Otherwise, I will see you for next week's energy.